don't stop. Brain 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 don't stop.
Hello! Welcome, everyone. You're watching Chewed Gum, a show about rejecting purity culture, challenging misogyny, and the effects of religious trauma on women. And today we are joined by Josie. I'm so happy you're here.
Hi, friend. It's been so long since we've actually did a show together. It's always such a joy to have you and be here and join the conversation here. I'm just always thrilled. Always thrilled.
Yay. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Well, if you are wanting to call on the show, you can call 720-619-2288. We do have lines that are open, so please feel free to give us a call. There's also a web link in the description box if you prefer to, or if you're calling from out of the country, rather. And as a reminder, super chats of $5 or more will be read at the end of the show. And that's all my spiel I got for you. We were talking, Josie, about how your campaign is going.
Oh,
How is
yeah.
it? Give us the
It's
update.
going so well. Oh my gosh. So we are still the top 3 fundraiser. There are 17 candidates now running for these 4 seats.
So crazy.
It's so much. It's so much. But we're still number 3. So we're nearly at $140,000 raised, which is
Wow.
bonkers, and
Yeah.
it's so great. Luckily we have public matching, so that means that the county actually matches the donations that come from the county, so that's what helps us get to that high number. But
Yeah.
you know, one of the things I always like to say is that we have like the Zerba link here
Mhm.
on the line, and it is raised $8,000. Like just from the
Wow.
line audience, we've raised $8,000. And that's why we've been able to get a donation from every state in the entire country. So like
Wow.
that's such a bragging, right? Like it's like no other council member in history running for this seat in Montgomery County, Maryland has ever gotten a donation from every state in the country.
That's
So it's super
amazing.
cool. Yeah, it's super, super cool. So if you want to help us get there, make sure that you donate. I'm putting the Zerba link in the chat right now. But yeah, do it. The Zerba link is strong. Let's get that to 10,000 soon. It'd be so great.
That is so great and so exciting. Wow. The line community really always turns out. You guys always, it's always amazing to me. And I think before you do large fundraising projects, it's hard to imagine people being able to reach something like, over 100 grand, but really like little bits from every person who's able to do that make up this really big number. And of course, with the matching as well, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. Well, our average donation is $48, right? And we've raised a hard dollar amount of $56,000. Like that's money coming in. So that's like super, super huge for us to be able to do that. But yeah, we've also been endorsed by the Sierra Club recently. That's exciting.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I never mentioned this, but I'm also endorsed by the Free Thought Pack.
Okay.
So it is actually an atheist-led PAC that is out there to support candidates who are openly atheists and want to make sure that we keep a strong separation of church and state. That's also really cool that I also hold that. And it's interesting because a lot of the people in there are actually like a former SSA, like, Secular
Mm,
Student Alliance, and I've been able
yeah.
to be like, oh yeah, we've done fundraisers for you, and like it's so cool that to be able to like it all comes back around is
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like the atheist community, as much as I think people have some crazy thoughts about the atheist community if you've never really engaged with it, that if you don't have religion, then you are like this terrible person with no ethics and morals and whatever. That is like one of the things that makes me laugh when we have people who call in about being religious and they're like, well, if you don't have the Bible for your values, then where do you get them from? And I was like, did you need someone to tell you not to kill another
yeah.
person? You really needed someone to tell you that?
Ugh, it's so
What is
wild.
going on?
So wild. It's like, and then people try to like say, well, all your morals have a root to religion. It's like, no, they don't. I
No,
never
they
had to kill.
don't.
Like, I just have zero need to kill someone.
Right.
It's just like, I don't need something to tell me otherwise. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It's so crazy. And so then, the two main reasons I feel like people give us on the show are like, where do you get all of your values from? And then the other one is they believe because of fear. And I'm like, okay, so both of those reasons don't sound so good to me. Actually,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound good.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I think that's the thing is like I understand some people need that comfort in their lives to be able to reach that level of, that connection with themselves, but
Mm,
it's just what the problem is when it like comes outward and then the judgment happens. It's like, oh, so
yeah.
you're godless, so therefore you have no morals, or
Yes.
your compass is out of whack,
Yeah.
and you could just fly off the handle because there's no God that tells you that you're going to burn in hell forever. It's just
Hmm.
like, no, like prison still exists, like consequences on the real world exist. Like it's
Right.
just wild. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I never
absolutely.
understand it. I never understand it. Um, If you are watching the stream, please make sure that you're also liking the video so that we continue to push out to the algorithm and we can have some fun callers today. We have lines open. So if you want to call in and talk to myself and Josie, then we would love to be able to talk to you. Um, and we can talk about anything you want.
Yeah,
There's
it would be great.
so much to discuss, much to
Yeah,
discuss.
yeah. I'm so jealous that you live in a place where there's sun because the winter is found like spring is now coming close to the
Hmm.
point where like we're seeing the birds and the sun is finally out here. But
Yeah.
I forget like being on the East Coast, like we don't get the sun and I look
Yeah.
like a ghost. Like I'm just like I'm like
No, it literally, so it does help that I'm Italian. So I have a little bit of like natural, like my skin, I think is olive. I don't really know. I
yeah.
shouldn't be able to tell, but I really can't tell. But, um, but I forgot how just being in the sun a little bit every day when the sun is strong will just give you like a nice
Oh,
little it's so I have to like get new shades of concealer and stuff and I'm like when did this happen? Am I tan right now? But it's just like that
yeah.
little bit of like warmth that I wouldn't have had before. But my fiance is Irish, and so when he goes outside, we like walked down the street to go get breakfast a couple of days ago, and his whole neck was burnt by the time we came back. I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, that not an issue that I have. Like it was
Oh,
sunny today. It was like beautiful today. Today was like
yeah.
fountainly. Like there is no more snow blocks
Oh,
like just laying around. Like the snowcrete is finally gone. And it was just
yeah.
like, oh, finally. Like it got really snowy and icy across the country so much.
I can't believe I remember talking about this not that long ago that when I was a kid, and I feel like you probably had this experience too. The winter that we had this year is the closest that we've had to the winters we had when we were kids. Like that's what it was like. I remember it being like that all the time. And then global warming really,
Yeah.
like I remember a long time ago, Jimmy had a conversation with someone who called in on another show. And this was a kid who he ended up being like 17 or 16 or something. So we didn't keep him on the line very long, but he voted for Trump, or no, he didn't vote for Trump. He was a Trump fan. And so we sort of
Oh,
like So we like drilled down on it a little bit, and um and part of it was he said something about like, well, global warming is a hoax, and Jimmy said, it's interesting because maybe not for you at like 16, 17, but for like our age group, we have a very unique situation where we've seen and felt the effects of global warming like literally in real time. Like the difference of in winter from when we were kids to now is distinct. It's distinctly different. It's so crazy.
I remember when like October was so cold for like Halloween's. Like I
Yes.
remember like it used to be that way, and now it's just like it's fairly warm, and
Yeah.
like I also used to like sometimes like because my family's in Texas, when I go to Texas, it's like super hot. It's like 80 degrees and it's like Christmas time. And it's just like that wasn't like that before. Like it used to actually be cold. And so yeah. Or now if it gets cold, it's like so cold. And then it like flashes from like hot to cold, and it like kills the crops. And then now, it's like it's just not an ease into winter and ease out of it. It's like all of a sudden it's like winter sub-zero, and it's just like, and then it just like snaps away, and then it's like hot, and it's just like, okay,
yeah. It's so crazy. I'm so glad we had kind of a normal winter. I guess we'll see. We'll see if we get a nice gradual fade into spring, but I'm not feeling particularly hopeful.
No. It's the fact that it was like I think in the low 30s last week, and now it's like almost 80 degrees now. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Northern East Coast, like, over in the DMV area, like we literally had like a small snowstorm roll through like a week and a half ago, and like coat everything with snow, and then now it's like a beautiful 78-degree day and like full sunlight. Like it's just like it's so weird.
That is so crazy. That's so crazy.
It really is.
Okay, actually, weird topic shift, but I was doing this right before I got on the show, and so I have to share this with the group. And honestly, maybe it's like premature to share, but whatever. Who cares? I was thinking about wanting to like, so I make my sex and relationship content on YouTube. Some of it's like calls that are like I just repost, but some of it is like watching other people's content, like who are creating content about like purity culture or whatever. And I'll watch and I'll react to it and give my input as like a sex educator. I recently watched a bunch of videos from Paul and Morgan. Do you remember those two?
Yes, I do. I do remember those two. Are they still around?
They are still. They're bopping around. They sure are.
Okay.
Not as much. Like I think that their YouTube has sort of like slowed its roll a little bit. I know that Paul is he's training to be a professional pickleball player.
Oh wow. Okay. That's a choice.
That is a choice. Could never be me. But I'm happy for him, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, to be able to just like choose in a like in your 20s to be able to, I don't even know, maybe even older, but like to just be like
30s.
It just be like, I'm gonna pick up a professional athletics sport. Like it's just like.
And what's most interesting to me is that he changed his bio to be athlete, like on Instagram. You know how you can like choose the general category of where you're at? He changed it to athlete. Which I was like, wow. You know what? It's kind of like dressing up for the job that you want. You know, he's calling it into existence.
What was it before?
Probably, I don't know, maybe content creator or something.
Content or entertainer or,
I would like to know what it was before, actually.
I would too. That would be funny. But all of you, this is a call-in show, so if you would like to call in and talk about any topic, I'm a trans woman, so if you want to talk about that, I'm always happy to do that. But yeah, talk about deconstruction, or talk about purity culture, or just say why we deserve less rights as human beings, as women. That would be something that we're willing to have that conversation with.
Yeah. I recently posted a video on Instagram about how like the people who are making decisions about reproductive rights are also people who don't know that you can pee with a tampon in.
Oh
And
yeah, for sure.
and
For
of
sure.
course, I'm like, and first of all, the amount of comments that are like, you can, and I'm like, and this is why I made this video. Yes, you
Yeah.
can. Oh my God. And
They
then,
don't even know how many like holes we
no,
have.
no,
Like, it doesn't
no.
even make
They have
sense.
no idea. No idea. And to their credit, like, if someone didn't teach them, how are they gonna know? But
That's
then,
fair.
mind your fucking business when you're making decisions about our bodies. How about that? How about that? Okay. And then there are so many comments too that are like, what does one have to do with the other? I'm like, are you fucking for real? Like, you really think, like, if you know nothing about how the biology of like what's going on down there,
Yeah.
you should be able to make medical decisions for us?
Yeah.
Be so serious.
Yeah, yeah, it's so bad. Just with the question of what is it? So like not understanding what a miscarriage actually is,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like having the understanding like that is a spontaneous abortion. That's literally what it is. It's the
Yeah.
end of a pregnancy. And the idea of like I like to take it to the most level extreme. It's like, so if you think like abortion's bad, maybe should we restrict miscarriages too? Or are we just
Mm-hmm.
like as soon as you're pregnant, you're just gonna put women on a bed
On
and just like
ice.
yeah, and just be like, don't move too much. You can't ride
Right.
horses. You can't go to work. Like you have to just sit there and incubate. That's
Right.
your entire
Yeah.
existence. Like it's just
But
like,
you can't even offer that to people because someone will be like, yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
They'll be
They're
like, yeah,
like,
I
oh,
think
that's a
that's a
great
great
idea.
idea. And they'll
Yeah,
and they'll
exactly.
find a way to frame it as like, we're protecting the women and we are protecting the children. They'll find a way.
They'll find a way, but they'll also use like, well, we our birth rate is dropping, and we need more human beings. So
Literally, no, we
why?
don't.
Yeah, yeah. No, we don't. No, we
Literally,
don't.
no, we don't.
Yeah.
I actually think if we had fewer humans, I mean, we have enough resources for every person, but I really wonder, like, I think the trajectory of it would be probably for the better.
Yeah.
You
It's true.
know?
I mean, well, like if you think about like how in post-industrial societies, like birth rates are starting to go down, and and I hate to say this out loud because there's probably like people who are like raging like sexist listening, but the number one thing that drives birth rates down is educating women. Like when you educate
Yeah.
women, it drops birth rates because they're like, wait, I could like go to school and have a career and only have one or two kids or none at all. Like, that sounds great.
Imagine that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh
It's
my
just,
God. Well,
yeah.
and it always makes me laugh for the people who are anti-abortion, which we actually have an anti-abortion caller
Yeah, we do.
in the queue, so we'll pull him in a second. But if you are anti-abortion, a lot of the times that's like a very conservative crowd, and that crowd is also not super comfortable with sex education in schools. But that's the thing that prevents people from getting pregnant, is teaching them how not to get pregnant.
Yep, exactly. Consent. Teaching consent.
Consent. Imagine that.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Like your body
Wild.
is yours. Don't let anybody touch it, no matter who it is.
Right. Right. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, not appropriate. Can't teach it in
No, not
schools. What would
appropriate.
Jesus
Yeah,
say?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Give me a break.
Um, right.
Well, we do have a caller who is anti-abortion, who loves to not give us any pronouns. That's been a pattern for, I think, all of his time calling in on the line. So I am gonna pull in Gohan. Hello. Hi, Gohan.
Hey, hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
I'm doing pretty good. It's not too bad of a weather here today in Texas, so I'm doing pretty good.
Wonderful. Happy to hear it. Oh gosh, sorry, someone was FaceTiming me. So explain what you wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, no worries. So I was going to try and discuss abortion. I've done that a couple of times, and I ideally want to get into the discussion about like why I believe that secular humanists should be anti-abortion. And usually when we have this discussion, the discussion kind of goes towards a personhood debate, and I'd rather try to keep this more on a bodily autonomy debate, if that sounds okay.
Sorry, I missed that last part. You said you want to keep it on bodily autonomy, and it goes towards which other topic?
Sorry. Usually when there's a debate on abortion, I find that the debates could either be more about personhood or bodily autonomy.
Mhm.
And I would rather discuss the bodily autonomy debate. And in order to discuss that, I understand we have to assume personhood, which isn't really fair, but just for the sake of argument, if we could assume personhood and move on to the bodily autonomy discussion.
I will ask, what is your definition of personhood if we're going to grant that level of argumentation?
I think that's a fair question, but I actually do not use the term personhood because it's not a scientific term. If I was to define humans through a purely scientific term, it'd be human organism. There's no more that's the most basic, most accurate scientific term to describe me and you. Person is not, because everyone has a different definition of person. It's always up for debate, but what is a human organism is never up for debate. That's scientifically accurate.
So okay, go ahead, Alyssa. It looks like you're about to say something.
I was just gonna say I don't really the personhood of it doesn't really matter so much for me. It is about the bodily autonomy for me, so I'm okay with having that conversation. I don't really care to have a conversation about like when it is determined to be life either. Like that, it's just not, I think it's not worth having that conversation because it doesn't really matter. Because the biggest thing with having abortion access is that it is about the bodily autonomy of the person who is carrying the pregnancy and the fetus that wouldn't survive if it were not inside of that person.
Yes, I agree, which is kind of one reason why I would like to skip the bodily autonomy, the personhood debate, because I usually hear that you guys are already, even if we grant personhood, you're not on board with the bodily autonomy part, which is kind of why I want to skip the personhood debate and get more into the bodily autonomy debate.
Sure, that's fine. We can go ahead and go to bodily autonomy.
Okay, so I would have to ask, would you guys say like bodily autonomy is absolute? Like, is there ever a time that you don't have right to bodily autonomy?
I don't think it's absolute in terms of like you can't punch another person in the head because you could do whatever you want with your body. I mean, I guess actually you can, but you may face consequences because you are like harming this other person. But I just don't, that doesn't apply when it comes to carrying the life of a fetus, because that fetus is not an independent living thing. It is fully dependent on the person who is carrying them. So it doesn't really work that same way. And when you're
And
asking this question,
Josie,
are you considering the bodily autonomy of the person carrying the fetus or the fetus itself?
for this discussion, more the person carrying the fetus, but not. I'm not specifically concerned with the bodily autonomy of the fetus. I'm concerned with the bodily autonomy of the mom.
Okay.
But,
Yes. So go ahead. What here's a thought, right? Like, so there are times like Alyssa was talking about punching somebody in the face, but let's look at something like more like public health, right? Let's say somebody has a something that is going to pass from person to person to person, and somebody has the opportunity to cure that person's disease. You could either A, get cured of the disease, or B, stay away from people who don't want to catch that disease, right? You have those options. So even in the cases of that are most extreme, like public health, for example, I'm still okay with somebody not getting the health care as long as they isolate themselves away from healthy people, because the bodily autonomy of the healthy people matter too. But I would not put that person on a gurney and force them, right? The isolation also works, right? So there is consequences, right, of the choices that you make. But I do believe that in cases like there is a lot of personal choice even in those most extreme scenarios, as well. So I mean, I would like, is there any other things that you think about when you think about bodily autonomy that is beyond the abortion argument?
Yes and no. So I kind of want to go with different examples just because I don't want to get into the stickiness of like, should we be forced vaccine or not for bodily autonomy? Like, I do want to skip that because
I'm not even talking about vaccine. I'm just talking about the scenario of like somebody has a disease and there isn't a way to cure that person of that disease. We can't just like strap them down and force them to have that medication injected into their arm. But we also have the right as a society to isolate that person away from the healthy public, right? Because the bodily autonomy of the healthy people matter too. You see what I mean?
So I think, yes, and I think there are two kind of examples that have formed my opinion on this.
Okay.
My opinion is that you can only kill a human organism when there's a high risk of severe harm. And then the two examples of this would be, have you heard of the violinist argument?
The what?
Yeah, sorry, repeat that. The what argument?
The violinist argument is really more of a pro-abortion argument in favor of abortion. But
No, it's not.
Argument.
The violinist argument is not a pro-abortionist argument. It's actually an anti-abortionist argument, actually, because that was done by a nun who was an ethicist. And the conversation about the violinist, and I know because I've studied this in college in philosophy, where the question is posed only for the sake of someone else being able to sympathize with somebody who is forced to give pregnancy. That is what the violinist argument is, because at the end, the ethicist who poses the question about the violinist actually says that it's still not okay to keep a violinist alive at the sake of your own body.
I'm sorry. I think that's in favor of the pro-abortion argument. It's not okay to lose your bodily autonomy in order to keep this violinist alive. It would be the same as it's not okay to lose your bodily autonomy to keep the baby alive or a fetus.
Right. That I may have misheard you, but I thought you said that it was more of a okay, maybe you're right. You're right. So I if you said pro-abortion argument, then you were right. I misspoke in my point. Sorry. I apologize.
No worries.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. So I'll try to give a quick summary just for people who may not know who are listening to the call, but pretty much a violinist is about to die. So people kidnap you and connect you to the violinist. That way you can keep him alive, and you're the only person in the world who could do it. So then you have a choice of disconnecting and having the violinist die, or stay connected and the violinist will be alive in 9 months. Did I say that kind of fairly?
I mean, yes, that's pretty much the scenario, and the scenario is designed so that people who can't get pregnant can sympathize with somebody who can.
Correct. So I would say that like one big difference between the violinist argument and the abortion argument. So I said you cannot directly kill a human organism. With the violinist argument, once you disconnect, the violinist dies. But my question would be, what does the violinist die of? Does the violinist die of the disconnection, or does the violinist die of liver failure, or whatever it was in the scenario?
I don't know if I'm not sure. I guess, I mean, it dies from liver failure or whatever the thing is that they need to be hooked up to another person for. But at the same token, like a fetus cannot survive outside of a uterus. So
and
the
I would
condition.
Like to get to that with my second example, but if we could just agree that there is a difference between the violinist dying of liver failure and then abortion, that fetus dies from a direct action, like is directly killed from the abortion.
So Gohan, the person dies. The person dies from the disconnection because that person could have been kept alive otherwise. Right. So the person that is disconnecting is making the choice to kill that person, knowing that their disconnection is going to kill them. Right. Yes, there is a condition that put that person into that place, but the person is choosing to make that disconnection happen, which will ultimately end that person's life.
Can I talk back against that really quickly?
Sure.
So I'm going to disagree with that. When you disconnect, you are not directly killing the violinist. Who knows? Maybe there's a chance the violinist will live, but in the end, the violinist is going to die of liver cancer. The
violinist dies because they disconnected.
You are failing to save the life of the violinist. With abortion, it's not saving the life of the fetus; it's actually killing the fetus. So with violence,
I don't think
you're saving the life. But with abortion, you're not saving the life of the fetus.
I disagree. Go ahead. I disagree because I understand what you're trying to present here, but I don't find that to be true because this is not something that could have ever survived on its own. You are stopping the progression of growth of an underdeveloped fetus. The baby would more likely, the fetus would die from underdeveloped organs that are not able to survive outside of the mom's body. Like that's, even if you were to just like pluck it out of the body, it still would not survive. Like if you wanted to terminate the pregnancy by taking it out of a woman's body, like it's still not going to survive. Right. So, and it's not, the violinist example is interesting because you're talking about a grown adult person, two grown adult people, presumably. One who both of which that are developed. They have organs that developed and they had, events happen to them along the way. But all human beings will ultimately die from something. It's not everyone's responsibility to be personally put their lives on the line for every single person.
Right.
So Alyssa, if I could just kind of respond to that really quick. Let me just say, I agree with what you're saying, that there is a difference with if you just took the fetus out, it would die. Like, I agree with that. And that would be similar to if you just disconnect from the violinist, it will die. Like, you're not directly killing it in either situation. So I agree with that. Can I respond to that really quickly?
The life is terminated in both situations. Like, Like, and like both organisms, if you want to use the word organisms, which you said, both die to the direct choice and action of the person that made that choice. Right?
So
Because if the
I'm
person
gonna
decided to
sorry,
not
I'm
make
gonna
that choice, if the person wait, if the person decided to not make that choice and stay hooked up to the violinist, they live in that scenario. The same thing happens with the fetus example as well. So it is exactly the same. It's analogous. That's why it is studied in college. It's an ethicist type of question. It's about that question is designed to be analogous. It is analogous. And it's like professors and academics and people across the world use the violinist example as an analogous example to the abortion argument. Like that's the purpose of it. But you're trying to tell me it's not analogous, and you have to give me a bigger burden of proof of why it's not analogous.
So I think actually both you and Alyssa disagree with each other. Alyssa is saying that with this situation, you're just letting the violinist die, just like you would just let a fetus die if you take it out. But it sounds like you're saying that actively going inside and killing the fetus is the same as letting it die. Am I saying that fairly?
But it is ultimately, it is the same because the fetus would not survive without its host.
But if
Like
we
it
could,
doesn't
if we could at
really.
least agree, I would like to get to that point in a second. But if we could just agree that there is a
I'm not
difference
going to
between
disagree.
actively.
I'm not going to disagree that the
Sorry,
analogy
no.
is not analogous. Like that,
Sorry, I
like
didn't.
that. If like that's what I mean, though. It's like Gohan, you're trying to argue something that has been discussed for nearly 100 years. I believe that this argument has been around nearly, so maybe 80. But this is a very. It's like saying the trolley problem. I'm not going to agree with the trolley problem, right? Like it doesn't make sense, right? Because then we're talking about the analogy instead of the actual thing that we're trying to get to, which is the right of bodily autonomy of women to be able to take control of their body, right? Because the argument starts getting really kind of torn apart by talking about the analogy of abortion rather than the actual bodily autonomy argument that the analogy is presenting. Does that make sense, Gohan?
So I'm actually really happy you brought up the trolley problem, because I think that's a very good example of the difference between letting somebody die and actively killing them.
Now you're crossing streams between two different
Yes,
moral
I am.
philosophy statements. Like we have to pick, right. Go on. If we're gonna be talking about moral philosophy, which is probably one of the most dense philosophical things that humans talk about, like we have to talk about the fact that I feel like your argument hinges on us trying to tell you that the violinist and an abortion are not analogous.
I'm sorry. I think it's fair if I comment on the trolley problem since you brought it up. But if you just want to stay with one thing,
Well,
fine
I don't
with
want to
that
talk
too.
about the trolley problem. I don't want to talk about the trolley problem because that's a completely different moral question, right? Because the moral question is a binary, which is not the purpose of this situation, right? Because we're talking about bodily autonomy, not a choice that a person has to make on a binary track, which is a different thing.
So I think that's fair. If I could just say really quickly, just to see if we agree on this or not, that there is a difference between letting someone die and not saving them versus actively killing somebody. Can we agree there's a difference there? Even if there's a dead human organism at the end of the day. But we can agree there's a difference between the two.
I thought we were going to skip the personhood argument, but now you're bringing in the personhood argument because I don't believe that a fetus is a person.
Sorry. Yes, for the bodily autonomy argument, we have to assume that the fetus is a human organism, just like me and you.
Sure. Now, see,
that's a problem because it's
yeah,
because it's not a fully it's not a fully formed human being. And really, and like I
Oh,
know that
sorry, I
you're
didn't.
on like a I know you're on like a path that you're like bringing us to, and I want to like allow you to get there as well. But really, one of my biggest points in keeping abortion access is not allowing abortion access is extremely dangerous. It is not very common for people to be terminating pregnancies after they have developed even minorly close to being a viable pregnancy. Like 99% of abortions happen way before you could have any sort of viability. So the reason why abortion access has to exist is because when you are putting restrictions on it and you are putting it in the hands of doctors who are at the risk of losing their license if they don't make a choice that the government is going to agree with, you are putting all of these women in harm's way, including women who wanted to keep that pregnancy, who fully intended on keeping that pregnancy and cannot for health reasons or cannot for whatever other reason. You're putting them at risk. And I think that there is a myth that goes around that women are willy-nilly getting abortions, which is unbelievable to me, because why would anyone do that? We barely have health insurance enough to get checkups every year. Like, why would a person put themselves through such a process that is so strenuous and hard on your body if you didn't have to do that? So I think that's really the big thing is from a healthcare perspective alone, you have to allow for this service to exist because it puts people in very dangerous situations when it does not.
So, really quickly, yeah, I am sympathetic to that argument. I've read the Turnaway study. It's a sad and dark book. It's really a commentary on like a 5-year-long study following different women after they've either had an abortion or were denied an abortion. So if you haven't read it, you should probably read it. It's in my words, a fairly well-written pro-abortion book. But so if you haven't read it, go ahead and read it. But you said the fetus is not a human being. Again, that's a term I'm rejecting. I'm saying it's a human organism, and it is scientifically a human organism. I can say without a doubt.
It doesn't matter to me,
It
though.
doesn't matter what your
It doesn't really
definition-
matter.
And the thing is, Gohan, the reality is you are not the same as a fetus, right? You as a human being talking to us, because you can both say they're human organisms doesn't mean that they are 100% equal with everything going on, right? So that is why I reject the fact that you're saying we're all human organisms. But that doesn't actually change the conversation of you as a Gohan, the human organism, versus a fetus of the human organism have very different moral value.
And again, I would like to skip the personhood debate. To me, that just sounds like special pleading. At the end of the day, scientifically,
Gohan, you're pleading.
Okay, I've actually
a human I am.
Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted your sentence.
No worries. I'm just saying that the human fetus is as much of a human as I am. There's no more human than I am.
But that's your claim.
I disagree, but I also, for the sake of time, I would like to know what the root of your argument is. Like, what is the reason you called today to have this conversation with us beyond the personhood of it? Even though I do disagree, I just want to get to like what it is that you wanted to present to us today.
Thank you. And let me just say, moving forward, I am going to note that both of y'all disagree with the personhood argument, but we're going to just assume for the sake of argument that a fetus is a human just like us. But I understand
but that
you guys
changes,
don't actually
that changes. That does change the outcome of the. But I want to hear what it is that you wanted to.
We'll let Gohan say the argument. Yeah, we'll go there because when you disagree with the premise, it makes it hard to come up. But I want to hear your claim anyway. Go ahead.
Well, 100%, and that's fair. But maybe I'll come back and call about personhood another day. But let me move on. So, if we can agree that there is a difference between not being forced to save a life, and there is a difference between not being allowed to kill a life, can we say that there is a difference with that? And that's what the violinist argument shows, is that with the violinist, you are being forced to save that violinist's life, which no one should be forced to. No one should be forced to go through organ donation to save a life. But at the same time, no one should be allowed
agree.
to kill
A woman shouldn't be forced to carry a baby to term either. So it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
You're still saving a life because you're supporting that life. That life would not exist without the host body to grow it and to allow it to develop enough to exist outside of it. So I think that the violinist argument is more similar than you're giving it credit for, because you are still kind of saving that life because it would not exist without being able to develop.
So let me get to the second point. The second point is that, let's just assume you don't directly kill it and you just take it out and let it die. Let's just assume that's the option that was chosen. The second point comes from another example I've called for this one before. It's called the cabin in the woods scenario, but it shows that parents have the duty to not just not kill their kid, but go the extra mile by actually keeping their kid alive. So children have the right to, one, not be killed by their parents, which wipes out abortion by itself. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, you could take the fetus out and just let it die. Once it's born, once it's out of the mother, it's a baby, it's been born. You have a duty to not let that baby die.
But it's
Parents
different.
have a duty.
It's different when you are talking about this. And this is the whole thing about, I know you didn't want to talk about personhood, but it is deeply involved in this conversation because we're talking about underdeveloped fetuses that would not survive unless they were in an incubator. This is not a matter of feeding them and giving them water and giving them physical affection like it is for a baby, like an infant. This is a being, I don't know, like a whatever fetus that is not developed, like their lungs haven't developed. So it's not, I understand the comparison you're trying to draw, but this is not the same because it's not a developed person that can survive from just, the care of a parent to this child. It still needs to grow and develop. Like, it's not a fully developed person. Its organs aren't developed.
If I can say this, it seems like maybe in the future, we should have, maybe another day, we should have a discussion of personhood instead of just skipping that and going straight into the bodily autonomy argument. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Well, go on. This is the thing, right? And I appreciate what you're trying to do, right? You're investigating Alyssa and I to see if we're morally consistent. I get what you're trying to do, and because it's like the idea is, for the sake of argument, let's say fetuses are people, then yes, Alyssa and I would have a different point of view. But the thing is, that is so core to the argument of the fact that fetuses aren't people. So therefore, our logic and our moral, and we are being logically consistent because of that, right? It's like saying, like, if let's say, if the ocean was always like, let's just for the sake of argument believe that we can breathe underwater, is it okay for humans to go and go to the bottom of the ocean without oxygen, right? Like, it's like, sure, if we could breathe underwater, like, that's what I think about the conversation when you have these, for the sake of argument, let's just go ahead and just not brush the thing that is the block of having you agree with me, so therefore you can agree with me. It just doesn't lead to anything, because Alyssa and I would logically be consistent and say, yes, if we knew within a shadow of a doubt that a fetus was a human being and it had the same equal value of you, Gohan, then sure, but that's not the real world. Right? That's not the actual conversation, because we have to start with bodily autonomy. Does that make sense?
It kind of does. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I think it goes against what you said earlier, that even if we assume the fetus is a person, the bodily autonomy argument is still strong enough to allow abortion.
I mean, essentially, I guess I would say that. Maybe. I don't know. Because
yeah, well, I'm curious how you find that to be the case.
So I don't think that's the case, but that's what I've heard from other atheists. Like Matt has said that. Actually, most atheists have said, like, even if you grant personhood,
yeah, well, yeah,
autonomy is strong
because
enough,
personhood,
strong enough argument to allow abortion.
But Gohan, this is the thing, right? You're talking about a legal designation versus like a fact that we know, right? And that is the difference, right? So if you grant personhood on fetuses by the law, I can still disagree that that is true, because there isn't enough evidence to prove that that's the case. So therefore, that's what I think a lot of people like Matt would posit, and he's not here, so I don't want to make assumptions for him. But essentially, I would posit that the personhood distinction is usually placed by law and not by moral certainty.
So I think that's fair. Let's not bring Matt into the argument where he can't defend himself. So that's probably not fair. But yeah. I just want to bring up that is the stance that I've heard. But just before, if I could just give one more argument before I go, it was the cabin in the woods. I would just want to know y'all's stances on this. But the argument goes that a mom and her 10-month-old daughter are in a cabin in the woods. There's plenty of food in there, plenty of warmth. But the baby can only be fed through breastfeeding. Avalanche comes, and they are in that cabin for the next 2 months. Should the mom be forced to breastfeed her baby, even if she doesn't want to, assuming there's enough energy and warmth for both of them?
I mean,
Should she be forced to break
so.
her bodily autonomy to,
I think
in this
so.
case, save the life of the child?
I think so, because this is a child that can and does live outside in the world and has fully developed organs and doesn't necessarily rely on the mother to survive in a bodily independence way. You can there is formula that you can feed a baby, and that is available to you.
It's the reason it's the cabin in the woods. So, but I want to say this, Gohan. You know that it's already a crime, right? You already know that this is a crime. To neglect your child is a crime. It's already on the books.
I want to be very clear. There is no formula. The only way this baby is getting fed is through breastfeeding.
I understand in this. I understand your scenario that you're positing, and yes, it is a crime to willfully neglect a child that is already born. Like if they were to go in. I agree. Yes, absolutely. So if somebody came in and forensics came in and were like, why did this baby die? And then the mother's like, I didn't want to feed them because I didn't want to. That's child neglect. That the parent is responsible for the death of that baby. Right. I agree with that because the baby is already alive.
So then I think for you, Josie, your argument rests more on the personhood discussion, because it sounds like you're saying with the violinist, you should not be able to. You should be allowed to not be forced to save a life. But if it is if it is a child, and you're the only one who can take care of it, and it's your child, you should be forced to have your bodily autonomy violated. Actually, use energy from your own body to feed this baby and keep it alive.
So Gohan, again, this scenario is so far-fetched because there are places that people could put up adoption. That's why Alyssa talked about the fact that there's formula, there's modern society that already exists, right? It is an actual reality that is a very, very unlikely scenario. Right, because if somebody's in a cabin in the woods, right, and let's say there is limited food, I think that the person's like, well, if I have to eat food to nourish the baby, I have to eat more food, and I don't have enough, and then that seems like a very tough situation, and it sounds like a hellish situation for all parties involved, stuck in a cabin in the woods with an infant child. So again, like we are talking about a very, very distinct hypothetical that involves a person who doesn't love their child and just wants it to die.
And I did say in the scenario, there's plenty of food to last the mom and the baby enough energy.
So
but the only way the baby
there you
gets
go.
energy is through breastfeeding.
But the thing is, most mothers would actually make that choice and feed their child because they birthed that child. They love that child. They had the child through pregnancy. Like that
They chose to have the baby, which is a different thing. Like at that point, you knowingly consented to the requirements of growing that, or not growing, of caring for that child.
Yeah.
So
there's a level of
let's
responsibility
say it's
that
not
happens.
your child. Can we change the scenario and say it's not your child? This you found this
and you just happen to be breastfeeding.
in your cabin, and you had a baby 3 months ago, and you're on vacation to get some much needed mommy personal space time. There's a baby you found in this
with
cabin.
Someone else's infant. Could you imagine how pissed you'd be? That would be terrible.
I would hate that.
You'd be like, shit, I just wanted to relax.
So Gohan,
do you know who can feed this child? Should you be forced to feed that child?
So Gohan, do you know what an edge case is? Do you know what that is?
Can I take a shot in the dark? It's just like a case that's from the edges of like a bell curve.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like we're getting to the point where you have to ask such an edge case scenario to be able to win ground on an argument of something that is not likely to occur. And if it did occur, it would be a case study that we would read in a book somewhere because it's so outlandish that it actually happened. And a lot of times, I call it navel gazing. It's like where moral philosophers try to find the most edgy cases of all to try to figure out, oh, in this scenario, in this hypothetical, in this universe, I can be right. And it doesn't serve for the greater conversation of the. Even if I were to grant you, Gohan, the one edge case in any of these scenarios that you posit, I'm still going to always side with bodily autonomy in the modern era that we live currently, when we have abortion and medical ability to be able to save people and have people to have choice on their lives. So that's what I'm trying to say, Gohan. I'm not trying to not answer your edge case. It's just that we can always find an edge case that is going to circumvent the rule or try to do it, but that edge case does not negate all of the argumentation that we just had about why women have the right to bodily autonomy.
So let me just say two things.
It's a part of
one, if we remove my edge case for a bell curve, you understand now there would be a new edge case. If you just keep removing that, you're going to run to a space where you're never going to answer a question. So you do have to be able to answer these edge case questions.
But I think, honestly, if that exact situation happened, whatever the result is, like that woman is not going to be held like legally liable if
Yeah.
that baby doesn't survive. That's not her
That's
child,
true.
and it does violate her bodily autonomy to assume that she's going to breastfeed someone else's infant. Like, it would, for me personally, and this is the whole thing. For me personally, I couldn't stand the sound of a baby cry. Like, I couldn't be in the same room as a baby dying and know that I could do something and not do it. However,
Just to get outside
the
and
point,
not to hear it.
the point is that that is my personal choice, and you have to allow for other people to feel differently. Like, that's the
I
point.
mean,
Not everybody
we
is going to
don't-
feel that way, and that's not a moral failing. That's not their baby.
when it comes to the topic of killing human organisms, we actually don't have to allow you to have your own opinion. We can have a set of rules that says this is okay and this is the line you cannot cross. So,
But this
no,
is
we don't
such a
have to
u-
allow
this
you
is
to have
such
your
a
own opinion.
unique case. Like Josie was saying, this is such a unique case that this is the exception and not the rule by a long shot. By a long shot. And so whatever that person decided to do in that situation, people would likely respond and be like, well, fuck, that's a crazy situation. I don't know what I would have done, or maybe I would know what I would have done, but you can't blame this person for dealing with a situation that undoubtedly would be the first time that's ever happened.
So that's what you're saying for if it's not your kid, but you're saying if it is your kid, there is a clear-cut rule. And
Well, yeah,
bodily
because
autonomy should be
consented. You consented to having that child and caring for that child. So yeah, you are responsible for that child. Am I, as a woman, responsible for all children?
No, just yours.
Because by that same token, it's like, because I am a woman who can give birth, I think, does that mean that I should take my entire income and donate it to charities that feed hungry children? Or should I be donating all of my money and all of my time to care for people in orphanages or like in the what's it called? Foster care system? Am I required to do that too because I might be a mom one day?
No. And if it's your kid and like you consent to having your kid in there with you, so you're saying you are required to care for that kid until, let's say you stop giving consent halfway through. Are you allowed to remove consent?
From a baby that you are raising? Like, yeah, you can adopt, you can send the kid to adoption. There is like a lot of things that a mother can do to no longer consent to motherhood. Like in modern society, we have many options.
In the cabin in the woods situation, you can't like really put them out for adoption. You come outside, but they'll die. But in the cabin in the woods situation, if you remove consent, is that okay? Because if it's all based on consent.
This is the likely scenario in the cabin in the woods situation, that somebody's going to come across a cabin in the woods with 2 skeletons, because this is such an absurd edge case. Like it's not a thing that will, like, even if the baby died, there was no other witnesses there anyway. So what, like, you know, it's like, it sounds like a horrific situation that a mother had to watch their kid die because they're living in a cabin in the woods all of a sudden. Like, see, Gohan, that's why these edge case hypotheticals fall flat, is because you have to go back to this one scenario to try to prove your point, when me and Alyssa have given you many cases of, if it were not in a cabin in the woods, there are so many things that a person can do to save that baby. Like it's like, that's how it works in real society.
This is why
even in
I
ancient
think it's
society.
Important to answer this is why I think it's important to answer the edge cases, because I'm not Honestly, I'm not sure which one is the edge case anymore for you, Josie. Is it the cabin in
The
the
edge
woods
case is
without
the
your
cabin
kid?
in the
That
woods.
cabin in the woods with your kid, or is it the violinist? Which one of those three is the edge case?
I mean, you know, that is now that is a question, right? Because the edge case scenario in the analogous scenario, right? The analogous scenario, what we were talking about, the violinist, that is used as an academic exercise to help people who don't
Sure.
have children, cannot get pregnant, to be a cabin in the woods scenario is not an analogous conversation about abortion.
No, it's analogous
That's the
about bodily
difference.
autonomy, which leads into abortion.
No, the
And
bodily
I mean,
autonomy,
why can't
because the bodily autonomy is beyond, because we've already talked about this. Go on, and I know we have to move on to the next call here. We've already talked
that's fine.
about why personhood matters, right? Because in your
So,
cabin in the woods scenario, you are using a baby as the person, which we all agree on this call is a person because they're a living infant child that have been born, versus a fetus, which is not analogous to a baby. So therefore, your edge case hypothetical is not an academic exercise. It's about, would you let one of your children die if you had the choice, which is a different conversation than somebody that is making a medical decision about terminating a pregnancy.
so if I could just ask a clarifying question. You said that the violinist is analogous to abortion. So you have the violinist
Yes.
and you have a fetus, and you're saying they're analogous. But the cabin in the woods is analogous because the baby is not analogous to a fetus. But yeah, a violinist is analogous to a fetus. Is that your statement?
No, the violinist itself is a conversation about being forced to take care of somebody to term, even if you do not choose to do so.
So why is the fetus not
Because
analogous
the
to
fetus
the baby, but it is analogous
because
to the
the baby,
violinist?
you chose to have the baby. You didn't choose to know the violinist. You didn't choose to be
Like,
in
can't you
that
remove
room.
consent? Can't you remove consent whenever you want? Let's say you wanted to get pregnant, and then you find out, hey, I actually don't have enough money for this child. I remove my consent. Can you just remove consent whenever you want for your
No, it
living
depends on,
If you
it depends on the medical choice, right? It's a medical decision, and usually doctors, when you pass the point of viability, you have to give
you
birth
have
to
to
the
have
child.
yeah.
So you would be against abortion for financial reasons if it's late term?
You
Am I hearing
cannot
that
have
correctly?
it won't
It's a
happen.
medical
There's
thing.
nothing to be against or not against. It doesn't happen. Late term abortions, the only time a late term abortion ever happens is for medical reasons.
So I actually read the Turnaway study, and that's not true. She actually documents a couple times when it's not medically necessary, when it is more financial necessity, whether somebody
If
lost their
it
job.
That's
So it's been
not
documented that
I don't
when
know
you're
what
saying
you're
it's
referring to, so I would have to look at it. I'm telling you, if that is the case, that there are people who are getting late term abortions because they can't afford to have the child,
would you be
that would be a extremely rare, if not like literally happened twice in a decade situation. And that has nothing to do with allowing abortion access, because I don't think that people should be having late term abortions. I think that if this is a child that is viable and you can carry it to term and can make other arrangements, then you should do that. If it's gone to a point where it is viable, then maybe we do that. But that's also a conversation that person gets to have based on their own circumstances.
With the
Like,
doctor.
with a doctor. Why am I involved in that? It is not my business what people do with their bodies and this potential life.
well,
It still would not be, I would still not require a legal, I wouldn't have a legal requirement on that because it's not my business. I remember a long time ago, you and I having this conversation, and it's funny, I just saw the clip like a couple of days ago. I remember having this conversation with you where I said, literally, my exact quote was, I cannot for the life of me understand why you go hand, no pronouns, by the way. This is just what I said. And it is kind of funny.
Exactly what
No
you
pronouns,
said.
by the way,
I
in
remember that.
Texas. Yeah. In Texas gets to decide what everyone else does. Like, that's
I'm
the
sorry.
point. Your input can stay within you and your community, and you can have conversations with, the mother of your child if you want to, but you have to allow people to make their own choices. And you have to allow for those choices to exist, because it is not safe to not allow those choices. There are people who who have medical reasons to have an abortion that are entering sepsis, and the mom's life is in danger. The baby is not viable, and they have to cross state lines to go to a different state that will allow them to remove the pregnancy so that the mother, does not die. That makes no sense. That's not better to me.
So, Alyssa, let me just say, I know me and you probably disagree on everything, but that was extremely funny. So, because
It
you're
was,
right. You
right?
said it exactly like that.
I just saw it recently, so it was fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, go on. We do need to move on to the next calls. I do appreciate the cordiality of the conversation. I would love you to call into the show next week, to the Transatlantic Call-In show, and tell me why you choose no pronouns.
Ooh, that would be an
I
interesting
could-
conversation.
I could probably do that on Thursday, this
Yeah.
week, if that works.
Thursday.
But I won't be
Perfect.
able to do it
I'm
next
on.
week. Okay.
Oh,
And
well,
then,
this
I just
I'm
wanna
on.
thank you
I'm
guys.
on Thursday. I'm on Thursday. So yeah, so this is fine. So yeah, come on this Thursday. And I would love to talk about why you choose no pronouns.
And I think let me just say two things. One, I think I'm actually banned from that show. So if I'm going to call in, could I be unbanned or unblocked?
Well,
I guess.
you got
not.
through. You're not banned. So our producer just said you're not banned. So you'll be able to come through. I would love to have that conversation with you.
So could I also call other shows now, like Matt's show or Jimmy's show? Because every time I call those, I'm blocked. But
You can
for a call,
try.
Okay.
You can try. Those are two different phone screen networks, though.
I didn't know that. Okay, I thought it was like
Yeah.
a blanket ban.
Okay.
So I was very surprised
Yeah.
yesterday when I got through. But
Yeah.
and the other thing I would like to say, thank you guys for both setting a good precedent of how to have a very nice and pleasant conversation. We both disagree on a very, very important topic. Either I'm taking away someone's bodily autonomy and actually making them be pregnant for 9 months against their will, which would be terrible, or you guys are supporting killing children. Both are bad outcomes, and yet we're having a civil conversation about it. So I appreciate that a lot. And I think if I call in the future about abortion, I think I need to have that personhood discussion.
Okay, great.
Sounds good.
We really
All right, thank you,
appreciate
Gohan.
the conversation too. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks, Gohan.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye.
That's so crazy, because he used to call in and be buck wild, and now that was like so chill. I was like suspicious. I was like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Well, I mean, it's good. I mean, people like evolving with being able to understand that, and this is no hit against Gohan here, but there's a lot of people who don't know how to have conversations, because the internet has really poisoned people's brains on how to communicate with each other.
Totally.
So for me, it's like, it's not surprising for me that, after somebody has a bad interaction and they realize they didn't get anywhere, it's like, well, maybe I should approach that differently. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to do it.
I agree.
Because arguing about an edge case hypothetical is much better than screaming.
100%. Yeah. At least we had the conversation, which is like for an hour, which is amazing. Yeah. He would like crash out on these calls. So I give him a lot of credit for being able to have like a level-headed conversation. Cause really, like, and I've said this on this show before, the goal for me is to be productive in one way or another, more so than like yelling and screaming at each other. Like I don't need to do that. Like my cortisol is high enough. I don't need to be yelling at another grown adult.
Yeah.
I
need
will
that.
if I have to, but I would prefer not to.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't liked and subscribed, make sure you do that. And also, if you'd like, please donate to my campaign so we can hit that 2,000 goal. That'd be nice. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Awesome. So what about what? I don't know. Which one are you looking at here?
I think we were looking at 11:4 because that is in response to the title of today's show.
Okay, let's do that one.
All right, so we're going to pull in Mike, who is calling in from Canada. Hello, Mike.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we can hear you great.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, great,
Hello.
great. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are
Doing
you?
Well. Yeah, how's the weather?
I'm
Is
good,
it
thanks.
was it sunny? Was it sunny today, or is it still cold over there?
It is sunny. It was sunny today, so I'm happy about that. But it is still pretty cold. But we're getting there. Spring's coming.
Oh,
Looking
good,
forward to it.
good. Yeah, awesome.
So do you want to explain
Uh,
your topic today? I'll just remind people in the chat that the title of the show is Women Should Be Atheist, and you're calling about that title.
Right. So I was saying, I guess my question is, what is the positive case? Like you're saying, you're making this statement, women should be atheists. Can you prove that? It seems like the burden of proof is on you guys, right? Because you're making the claim.
Essentially, right? Like, when we come up with titles of the show, we want to invite a door for conversation, right? Like sometimes the titles can be tongue in cheek, and it allows people to be like, okay, why do you think that it's like why women should be atheists? But I think a lot of times when we think about it, and Alyssa, please correct me if you disagree. It's like we think, in my opinion, women can be atheists and can live happy, productive lives that are separated from like purity culture and the shame and all of those type of things. So there is a world that I can see that a atheist framework can be very beneficial to the growth of a woman and a human being. I don't know, Alyssa, what are your thoughts?
Well, I always want people to make the choices that make them happiest and healthiest, and that includes people being able to choose, whatever faith they want to participate in. And really, when we do these shows, I don't really have an interest in deconstructing a person who feels like they're benefiting from their religion. Like whatever, it's not my business. If someone's calling in and they want to debate me, that's a different thing. But the reason why the statement of women should be atheist is not a like a moral judgment. Like Josie said, there is so much that is tied to women in religious environments that affects the way that they live their day-to-day life. Like largely purity culture, that is like a huge influencing factor in this. It affects the way that people dress. It affects the way that they have relationships with other people. It affects their judgment on other people. And, there are cases that are more extreme than others. But I have seen, there's this podcast that I watched not long ago, and the two hosts are both Christian, and they were talking about how anyone who's not a believer is the enemy. They are the enemy. They don't want to socialize with them, and they are going to be tempted by the enemy if they are even around that community. So it's like around a secular community. So it just it limits the freedom and choice of the women who choose to participate in it.
Okay, that's fair enough. But you seem to be pointing to like specific religious contexts and communities rather than pointing to religion as a whole, or to say like, even if it's true that that religion as practiced in most cases is harmful to women, that wouldn't be an argument for atheism. That would be at most an argument for or against religious practices as they're now kind of in our society, right? So, I mean, atheism to me, it fails to ground any kind of moral ideas, right? Including women's dignity or anything like that. Like, what's the basis for women should have dignity, or women should not be oppressed by men under atheism? What do you base that on?
Well, atheism is not a belief system. It functions completely differently. It's the absence of the belief completely. So there is no there's no one who is checking on like the ethics and values of atheists, because it's just not a system that exists. But I think it's interesting. What if you don't mind me asking, what God do you believe in? Like when you speak about like dignity and okay. It's got it. Okay. So it's interesting because there are plenty of examples of Christianity not being very dignifying to women, not allowing them to live free from judgment. And so when we're talking about atheism and we're talking about the absence of those things, to me, it's freedom. It's freedom from the judgment of this system that doesn't need to exist. And women can make choices however they choose to. There'll be like some consequences to those choices because we live in a world that like interacts with other people, but they can and should do whatever it is that they want to, as long as they're not harming others. And I think that that's also like the humanist approach. Like if you believe in supporting humans and in living happy, healthy lives, then they can do that however they choose. I don't know if that made sense. I think it did.
Yeah, that does. But then, see, if you're an atheist, or from the position of atheism, I mean, well, first of all, you were saying atheism is just non-belief.
Yeah,
and that's been something that atheists have tended to claim recently. But traditionally, it's been understood as a positive claim that there's no God. And maybe, okay, if you want to take that weaker form of atheism, the notion that we just simply don't believe that there's a God, whether there is or not, we're not taking a position, or is that the idea? Like, it's almost like agnosticism, really, right? But whatever it is,
there
what
are
is the
some
basis
atheists.
for any?
There are some atheists that say, I have not seen any evidence of God, so therefore I do not believe that there is one, which is still a
Okay,
lack
fair enough.
of belief in God, right? Like there,
Well,
that's
no,
kind
I
of the
mean,
way.
No, sorry. I mean, sorry, not to interrupt you. I mean, I just think that if someone's going to say that I don't believe in God, whatever reason they give, I don't have evidence or whatever, just saying I don't believe in God, which is seemingly like a positive claim that there is no God. If I say I don't believe in,
That's different.
I don't
Mike.
know.
That's different. That's different because like the
If
idea of like.
if I say, hold on, but before you go on, if I say I don't believe in Santa Claus, that's a positive claim that Santa Claus doesn't exist, right? Is it not?
Not necessarily. You just have not been, you just don't believe in the entity. That doesn't negate the fact that there could be. You just haven't been convinced yet.
No, I think you're wrong about that. But regardless of what you think about that, what is the base? If you don't have a God, right? What is the basis for any kind of moral claims that you're trying to make? For example, the idea that women should not be
funny.
oppressed.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was going to say, if you don't believe in God, what is the basis for any kind of moral claims that you want to, that you're definitely going to be supporting certain moral claims, such as the notion that women should be allowed to do whatever they want, women should have dignity, women should not be oppressed, etc. Right?
What I was going to say before was, it's funny that you called in with this topic because literally right before the show, I was saying to Josie, I said, when people call who are theists, like there's like two main conversations I typically have with them. And one of them is exactly the one that you brought to the table, which is where do you get your value system from, if not from religion? And so it's funny that we ended up having that conversation today. But I think that because many of us have grown up with the framework of religion, it's hard to imagine a world where you could grow up without it and still know that like murdering another person is probably not so good. But I think that humans have developed empathy and we understand the feeling of hurting another person. And I think, you know, if you have no reception of like of other people's feelings. Like if you cannot, if you have no empathy for any person, that's like a psychological disorder. So most people are able to have the empathy for other people and understand the impact of their decisions. So like we don't kill another person because, well, I mean, like you would be removing that life from this equation, and then you also are removing that person from like an entire system of family and friends, and like that's also a cruel thing to do to them. You don't my favorite like 10 commandment situation is that you don't sleep with your neighbor's wife, because I'm like, and why are we talking about that here? Of all of the things we were doing, the 10 rules for living, and we thought this was that. How often was it happening? But I guess it was. But you know not to do that because you can see, you have empathy enough to see the effect of that choice. So I think it's hard to imagine how people get that get those same things without the basis of religion. But we do because we have empathy. So we're able to understand the impact of our choices. Josie, I want to give you a
and
chance
I just want to posit too, Mike. It's like modern society has moved past religious dogma as our answer to morality. In the Bible, slavery is okay. In the Bible, like it's okay to, beat your slave. They also have many other things like, homosexuality is illegal and all of these different things. So in a lot of ways, the moral frameworks that we use in society are based in a lot of the, societal understanding of what makes, our world go round. I don't need to murder anybody, and nobody had to tell me not to murder anybody. I know that stealing is wrong because I understand how economic systems work and how that entire process is designed under an honor system in a lot of ways as well. Like there is a lot of things that I did not need to read in a dusty book to say this is the thing. Now, if I'm speeding down the road and I'm never driven before, yeah, I need to read a book that says don't speed because that's illegal. But those are moral edicts. I mean, those are legal edicts that are given to us by our society. So, because our society, even the American one, right, has a understanding that we have our laws, we teach our laws, and those are the way that we do them. And so. But we do it in a way that allows a secular person or somebody from any religious belief can understand them. So regardless of who or what upbringing you have. But does that make sense, Mike? Because there's a lot of contradiction in moral law in religious doctrine too.
Well, okay. I don't want to get into the biblical narrative because there's complex.
Mike, that's where the morals are, though, right?
Things.
But that's where
Pardon
the morals come from, right? That's where your morals come from, right? Because you said you're a Christian, so
yes,
Christianity
absolutely.
is based on the base of the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely, they absolutely are. And so the Christian understanding is that all the law reduces down to love thy neighbor as thyself and love thy God. Now I don't want to get into the complex discussion around things like slavery. There is a defense for that. It's very strong. For instance, much of the reason why we no longer consider slavery to be morally acceptable anymore is because of Christianity. But I won't get into that. What I was going to
What?
say is first that wait,
It was
before wait, don't start
abolitionist.
saying what. Don't start saying what. Because I want to respond to you. You both gave. Hold on. Before we get into this,
Okay, Mike.
and I would like to say the abolitionist movement was largely Christian. That's not historically controversial.
Sure.
But let's just get into the two arguments you guys gave here. Where one was, I mean, you're talking about the notion that society just gives us our moral rules now, and we just go along with it, right? But if that's the case, if morality is
For the
just
most
whatever
part.
society says is okay. Wait. No, I don't agree with you there. I don't agree with you, because if morality is just whatever society says is okay, then we have no way of saying that, for example, another society which is doing something we consider morally reprehensible is wrong because they're simply doing what their society says is okay. The Nazis or slavery. When we look back and say slavery was wrong in the American South in the past, we say that because we know it's just objectively wrong. And so we don't say, oh, their society said it was okay, so it's okay for them. We say, no, it was wrong for them. They were wrong. And so just saying that society says this is morally wrong now, that's why we know it, that's not a really strong objection.
So Mike,
And when you
so
say
what do you
empathy,
do? What do you do when people justified slavery with the Bible and the people who don't justify slavery with the Bible? What do you do in those moral contradictions? Right, because it was the slave owners that taught the Bible and Christian doctrine to their slaves to let them know that they were supposed to be enslaved.
Yeah, I know, because some people can use the Bible to justify all kinds of things. People use the Bible to justify witch burnings, but it was the church.
So it's not a good moral book then.
Right. And also, it's interesting you brought up.
That's not the case. Excuse me. Hold on a sec. You're getting away from
Mike.
the arguments you made before. Wait. No, because you're asking me these questions and you're not letting me respond. I told you that the Bible was used to justify witch burnings, but it was the church with proper understandings of the Bible, with educated reasoning about the Bible, that was able to say, no, witch burnings are wrong, and made it illegal. So again, with slavery, the slavery was a similar story. Some people use the Bible to justify slavery, but as I was saying to you, the abolitionist movement was largely a Christian movement. Christians understand today that slavery, at least as it was practiced in the American South, is not okay. Now, I just want to get back to your justifications for your views. Like, first you said that thing about society, and I hope I gave you the reasons why that's not valid. And then the other argument was empathy, right? Now, empathy, the thing about empathy is it's partial. Most people feel empathy for people that are more like them, and they don't feel as much empathy for people who are different. They don't. And also, for example, when you talk about empathy, some people feel strong. You were talking about abortion with the other caller. Some people feel strong empathy for the unborn child. Other people do not. And so empathy itself cannot be used as this moral compass when we have such.
And neither can your Bible.
Neither can the Bible. Mike,
Neither
I
can the
also
Bible.
think
Here's the
it's.
thing.
I think it's also interesting.
I'm not talking about the Bible.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
You're
thank you.
like, it's just too much. Like, it has to be a conversation where we both get to speak, and we are also the hosts of the show, so we also have to like be able to have a little control over the conversation for like time constraint purposes as well. So like, I don't mean to, you just if we're interjecting at times, we're not trying to interrupt you, obviously. Like, we're trying to make sure you get full thoughts in, but you also have to allow us to get some words in as well. And I'll unmute you in a second. I think it's interesting that you brought up witch trials and you brought up Nazis, because Nazis were predominantly Christian. And when you're talking about the witch trials, and they did it with the Bible as the reasoning, the church oversaw that and allowed it for long enough for people to die. It's the same thing with the Nazis. They oversaw it and allowed people to die for a period of time. So it doesn't really, like, they were able to use that book and weaponize it. So why do you feel like it's a superior teaching tool when Christianity has been at the root of so much violence? Like even in the Bible, there's so much violence. I'm going to unmute you now, unless Josie, do you want to add anything before I do?
Good.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to unmute you right now. Oh, are you? Wait, oh, sorry. Hold on.
Hello? Hello?
There
Yes.
you go. Okay, yeah, we can hear you
Hello?
now. We can
Okay.
hear you now.
I was just saying that the mere fact that some people have misinterpreted the Bible and said wrong things and used it for wrong purposes doesn't disprove the Bible itself. And regardless of that, it's like even I don't want to get into the Bible thing because you're just saying God, right? You're just saying atheism. So my point was just that without some kind of objective standard for morality, some kind of objective standard, whatever we decide it is and how we come to the conclusions about what it's saying, like you need some kind of objective standard, otherwise you don't have morality. And that's why if you settle on empathy, then we have this debate. Okay, some people will say that the child deserves empathy, the unborn child. Other people will say that he does not, or he or she. So, like, you don't have a valid source of any kind of objective or moral reasoning based on morality or based on
Can I give you my valid
convention.
Can I give you my valid?
Can I just finish I was just about to finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just about to finish. You do not have an objective rule for morality based on empathy or based on our society's current conventions on morality. Okay?
Okay, so what we have is democracy, and it's sloppy and it's not always perfect. But what we do is we are able to, as a society, change our laws, change our constitution based on these moral conversations, such as we allow abortion because we believe in the value of women's autonomy and people who can have children's autonomy, and so we're able to grow and evolve as a society because we can change the laws that govern it. In religious texts, you can't change the words of the Bible. You just can't do that. So when it says that when it says that homosexuality is wrong, and it's in an edict in Exodus, right? Then somebody can say, no, it says this in the Bible, so therefore my bigotry is justified. When society is saying, no, that is not justified. Just like it would be silly if someone's like, you're wearing mixed fibers, and in the same book of that Bible, it says wearing mixed fibers is also punishable at the same level of punishment of homosexuality. It would be silly for us to be like, no, the Bible says you can't mix your fibers. So we use our ability as a society to govern ourselves. It's not always perfect. It's a sloppy process. But the moral arc always bends towards justice. It always does. So that is one of the things that we look at is the justice, like having justice for humanity is a guiding light for a lot of people. That's why people get into law, right? For justice. And a lot of times that justice is a moral justice. Somebody got murdered. What punishment should the murderer have? Right? That is those conversations that we have in society. And it's not the Bible that the justices are using to figure out what the punishment is. It's the legal code and society of hundreds of years of work that made that possible.
Okay, can I speak now? So I would just say, first of all, democracy is a very dangerous tool to use in that regard. Like, it's a voting mechanism. It's not a moral foundation. They're trying to achieve moral truths through morality, through democracy, but it's relying on this notion that the majority is correct. To say that the majority is correct is literally a fallacy. It's a logical fallacy.
I said it was not perfect. It's not perfect. The moral arc always bends towards justice. Yeah. It is something that takes time.
Wait. Why should I believe that the moral arc always bends toward justice? Why should I believe that? Well, why
because
are you,
slavery ended. Because slavery ended, Mike.
It didn't work that way in Nazi Germany.
Yes, it did.
Mike, you're also like, you keep talking about us interrupting you, and then you ask a question, Josie's answering, and you just keep talking, like, wait. Let her answer what you asked. Josie, please.
Yes, yes. So Nazi Germany also, we defeated them in a world war, like World War II. The Nazis were soundly defeated, and that was the end. That was the moral arc of justice, saying that Hitler deserved the bullet in the brain. And guess what? That wasn't written in a book, in a Bible. It wasn't written in anything. We knew that that asshole had to die because he was exterminating humans for no reason. And that is what justice was. When slavery happened, it took a long time, thousands of years, for us to finally get to the point where we were saying, yes, this is a problem. We fought a war over it. Again, the moral arc bending towards justice. Segregation also. And the moral arc that bends towards justice is not my quote. That is Martin Luther King, who spoke about it during segregation, right? And actually fought against the laws that were segregating black people from participating in. People were using the Bible to justify that segregation. So we as a society are able to rise up, protest, and be able to win out things. So for example, right now, gay marriage. For example, all of the things that we are now seeing with abortion, win the rights back for people. These are all things that democracy does. It is not perfect, but it allows the freedom of speech and assembly for us to be able, and that's our constitution, that allows us to be able to air out our grievances when we are morally taken advantage of, or not morally taken advantage, but taken advantage of, so we can actually have our justice. That's why we have a justice system.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot I muted him.
Oh, God. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm unmuting you now, Mike. Hold on one sec. Okay.
Okay. So this is the thing. So you just said that World War II happened because of the Nazis, right? So this is my point. My point was that they were elected democratically, right? And then you had to use violent means to defeat them. It wasn't like you defeated them through democracy. You defeated them through a war. That shows you that democracy is not the solution
mostly
in every case.
Democratic states defeated him.
But I was just like,
I know, but democratic states. I know, but democratic states. You literally made a claim that it wasn't democracy when it was democracy. And other democratic nations that literally shifted their tax system and economic burdens to build the war effort to actually defeat the Nazis. Do you think that it was all fascist regimes?
No, listen what I'm saying to you. A democratic system in Germany was defeated by another democratic system. Okay, fair enough. But that doesn't mean it. But wait. What I'm saying to you is democracy allowed that system to rise up. And the fact that the whole Holocaust happened under democracy. So the idea that democracy can just protect people and it always bends toward justice, it's not really given. It's not really a given. It just happened to be that way in history. It's an accident. It's an accident of history that happened that way.
But Mike, there's only...
The point is, this is so far off where we were.
Mike, but can I just add? Can I just add that there is only between democracy and the Bible, only one of those two things claims to be perfect as it is. And democracy from the start, especially in the US, like our Constitution and amendments, it's made to evolve as time continues. Like that is a cornerstone of our democracy. So the difference is that the Bible claims to be perfect, but it does not yield a perfect result. So when you're asking us questions about how we get to an ethical, moral belief and say that the Bible is going to do a better job, the results don't reflect that consistently. We could see, yeah, just one last thing quickly. We can see even in the did you just sigh, Mike? I heard that.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I was
That's
sniffing. My
not
nose is stuffed.
nice.
I wasn't sighing. I was not sighing. I was not
Cut,
saying. Anyway,
Mike, cut.
I'm
No,
happy
it's
to
okay.
listen to you. But
It's fine.
But we can even see it in like in the way that the government has very easily weaponized religion in the Republican Party in the US. Like they use religion over and over again to do these things that are just like objectively evil. And the only way that we are going to mitigate that is through democracy and through having a separation of church and state so that we can have neutral moral decisions being made.
okay. So this is again, we're kind of getting away from the point of. I was asking for a standard of moral reasoning, not a standard of political action. Now, if you want to say that democracy is the best way to have political decisions making, I can maybe get behind that. But my point is that whatever decisions we make democratically or otherwise should be based on some kind of universal objective moral standard. And where we get that standard is not from atheism. Atheism does not provide that standard. That's my point here. Now we can discuss the Bible. I think, for example, a lot of the simplifications of what's discussed in the Bible is the problem. Like you were talking about the law about mixed fibers and the laws about killing homosexuals, etc. What we see is that the Bible also understands that there's this evolution of society and that things change, and that the law under Jesus's reign is that we should love one another and love God, and that those laws from the Old Testament are no longer in effect. So the Bible actually does provide for this notion of evolution in society and change, and to
What moral law is to love God? Like I could get behind loving other people, but what is the moral law of loving God?
well, this is the thing. See, in a system of atheism where you
What's
have no
moral
standard of
about that?
morality,
No, that's
what's
not
moral
true.
about loving God?
Yeah, like what does that have to do anything with morality?
Because if God is the basis of morality, as He would be in this type of like understanding or worldview, then loving God is essential to morality.
I know because loving God, that somebody who that's a very, very dangerous road, Mike. Because if that was part of what is moral is to love God, then that means it would be justified to round up all atheists and destroy them. Because
No,
we
it's not
don't
true
love
because
God.
God doesn't say to do that. Sorry,
Well,
God is
I
not.
mean,
Where does God say to do
you
that?
just
Where does
said
God say to do that?
though, you just said though that because atheists don't have any framework of morality, that means that we're immoral, and immoral people should not really be walking around, right? Well, that's why we imprison
No, I never said
murderers,
that. I
right?
never
Because that's
suggested that.
immorality. I know, but I'm just saying,
Excuse me. That's
why
ridiculous.
is
The Bible.
loving God a morality issue? Why are you making a value judgment on loving God?
Hold on.
That's my issue.
Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. First of all, the Bible teaches that all of us are sinners. All people are sinners. So no people can judge another person and say, you're a sinner, you deserve to die. That's ridiculous. Secondly,
That happens
as I was
all
saying
the
to you,
time.
that may have happened, but once again, that's
No,
not
it still
what the Bible teaches.
happens.
Where does it
That's
happen?
not what that.
Where does that happen?
Kidding me?
Where does that happen?
Are you
Where?
saying that you don't know what happens when like people
So
use the
are you
Bible to
suggesting
kill
that
people?
atheist regimes have never done similar horrific violence against religious people? Are you suggesting
Nowhere
that?
near on the scale as Christians have. The Bible
What are you
has
talking about? What do you
claimed.
mean? What do you
The
mean? What do you mean by
Bible
that? What are you
has
talking about?
claimed, holy moly, so many lives.
No,
Like,
so has atheism. So has communist regimes of the 20th century.
When have
Communist
atheists?
regimes. Are you suggesting that communist regimes of the 20th century have not killed tens of millions of people or hundreds?
Communists?
Are you suggesting that really?
What, like in a
Wait.
completely different conversation. You are now mixing so many things all into one bucket here.
Well, no, here's the thing. Here's
Reality,
the thing.
in all reality,
establish,
America is a socialist. I mean, not socialist. Sorry, now I'm saying communist, socialist. All these things. America is a secular government. There's literally a separation of church and state. Like we do not honor biblical law in the United States. You know that, right?
Well, the thing is, America was founded by largely Christians.
It doesn't matter who it's founded by. I'm talking about the.
Yeah,
we
but
serve by.
even the modern
You can't just hand wave it away, Mike. You can't just hand wave away what I just said.
You can't just hand wave away. You can't just hand wave away the notion that Christianity has changed the world for the good, and especially the fact that, for example, the notion that women should be considered equal to men or that races should be considered equal is a biblical notion. That's
oh, really? How many women priests are there?
There's no male or female.
How many women and priests do we have? How many women priests do we have?
I don't know. I'm not Catholic. I don't know why we're going there.
Oh, but that's not your Catholic because that's not your that's not your segment.
Wait.
That because
No. Here's the thing. Even the Bible teaches that there's different roles for women and men in society, and so I don't have a problem with that.
See, there you go.
If the Christians allowed women priests, that would somehow make it better. I'm just saying. What I'm saying to you is that,
we just proved your claim wrong.
You're getting onto the Bible. You're getting onto the Bible itself, but you haven't demonstrated that atheism is better for women. And I keep saying to you that
I did. We did at the very beginning.
Sorry?
We did at the beginning. We were talking about the purity culture and the ability for women to be equal to men. I know. And you even said that part.
Yes. No, because what I said to you at the time when you said that is that those cultures, those things, those abuses of religious reasoning are not evidence for atheism. They're not proof that atheism is a better solution for women. And what I was also saying is that atheism itself cannot ground or give any basis for women's autonomy, women's dignity, or women.
But it doesn't have to. It's not meant to. It's not meant to. It's literally all atheism is saying that I don't believe a God exists. That's all that it is. That's literally it. And then you can be an atheist and you can be an intersectional feminist. And maybe that is a part of how you identify or put a label on like your beliefs. But the atheism doesn't inform anything at all aside from I don't believe a God exists.
Yeah, just like there are Christians, that's Mike. So that's the thing then. So Christianity and atheism serve no value in the moral conversation because at the end of the day, it is just people governing themselves.
No, again, my point is this: people will do whatever they will under whatever system you have, right? But my point is this: that if you want to have some basis, some rational evidentiary basis for morality, you need some kind of universal objective standard for that thing.
So what do you think? What about Muslims? Do you believe Muslims have a moral basis on their morality, or is it only Christians?
At least here's the thing. I would disagree with them, right? But at least they have a God belief that can give them an objective standard for morality. So we can discuss now. Me and the Muslims now can discuss what is the right morality. Do you guys have it or do we have it? And then we can come to some kind of discussion through logic. But if you're an atheist,
is that the Crusades? Was that the peaceful Crusades, or was that the Crusades, or was that the Spanish Inquisition?
You're not engaging.
I'm just saying that the idea is that there have been religious wars, and they're still currently happening in a lot of ways across the world that think that their religion is morally just, so I'm going to kill the other one because of that. And people have been using religion to morally justify the death of other humans since the beginning of religion itself.
The Crusades, the Crusades happened for hundreds of years. No, the Crusades happened for hundreds of years where they would send out groups of people to be missionaries and force people into submission into being Christian. So they would basically say, you will be Christian or you will be prosecuted. And they went all over Europe doing that.
That's not really how it went
Yeah.
down. But anyway, look, my point is this.
That is how it went down.
Aside from the point. It's completely beside the point. My point is this. You do not, under atheism, have any justification for any moral reasoning you give, right? And we can discuss about the historical mistakes of the past.
That's your opinion.
Well, what is? Well, I'm asking you for your.
Okay, I'm muting him and then I'm dropping him because I'm actually kind of done with what he's doing here. Actually, I'm just going to drop him right now. Okay, so the reason why I don't really want to continue that conversation is because he has bent over backwards 800 times to say that atheism does not provide a moral framework. After we have said many times, it's not meant to. It's just saying, I don't believe in God. That's literally all it is. And then on top of that, we can also point to how Christianity specifically, which is the religion that he believes, is not a good foundation for your moral and ethical beliefs. And every time we give an example to him, it is the exception and not the rule. And I just like, how many times are we going to go through that? It's just, that's just.
And Mike, if you're still listening, like there is another show called Deconstruction with Justin tomorrow. Deconstruction Zone. That's where the conversation is really meant around the ideas of morality and all of these things. But the idea that we don't have a moral grounding is your opinion. It is not an actual reality because you can't go into our brains and say, oh, they don't have a grounding for our morality. I've killed 0 people and no one had to tell me not to. Like right. it is a thing that humans have to deal with since the dawn of time. Just like the first prehistoric and ancient humans, they had burial rituals and everything like that because they understood that killing others was probably wrong. And there's archaeological evidence. Even animals in the wild won't kill their kin because they know it's wrong. Like, are they reading the Bible? Are they doing that? It's like this is not a very hard discussion, and you're making it too difficult. And it's so frustrating. But we do have one more theist call.
Yeah, let's try and get one more theist under the wire before we do super chats. So if you want to get your super chats in, now is the time. And maybe we'll do this call in like 15-20 minutes and then that sounds good. And then we'll get to our super chats. Wow, this ended up being, for a show where in the beginning we didn't have calls and I was like sweating. I was like, oh my God. I don't know why I ever get worried because I've never, ever, ever done a show on the line and had 0 calls for an hour. That's never happened.
But the fear is real, though.
The fear is so real.
It's so real. Like, it's like, if it doesn't happen, it's going to happen to the 2 women on the show right now.
Right. You will catch us sweating. Crazy. Okay. So we have, one more theist. This is Dylan, who's calling in from Minnesota.
You guys were talking about, like, the objectification of women and like abortion and stuff.
We were earlier, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys there. Like, it's crazy what's going on with the objectification of women. And I remember you saying something about like the internet, really like it's like messing with our discernment about like, you know, how to properly speak to women and how to like see them in the right way. And yeah, for sure, like religion's been used to kill a lot of people, but I think overall that it has a positive effect. Religion.
Okay, why? Tell us more of why you feel that way.
I believe there's a God, and that he overall has a positive effect. That it's better for him to like what he's doing rather than like for us not to believe in him.
And what has he done that I can like visualize and see and understand?
Well, we're no longer under the laws because Jesus fulfilled the law. But so if you go back to the first part of the Bible, it was like teaching us not to kill, not to have sex outside of marriage because that can lead to things like, diseases and pregnancy in like a very young age. So like I believe in Jesus because like that's like been one of the most positive effects for me. Probably it was avoiding sexual sin. Ever since like I was a teenager, there was a lot of temptations, but diseases can come from that, and I think that my religion is what prevented me from falling into that temptation from the devil.
Sure.
So how do you feel about like a child who gets cancer? They didn't do
That's
anything
actually,
to get that.
You were talking about the mixed linens. You were talking about the mixed linens. Breast cancer is often caused by polyester. So polyester is this artificial fabric. It's like a mixed fabric. So that
Okay,
might
but
be
what
why
about
it's in
the
the Bible. I don't know. Like,
What about we're talking about
they
kids?
didn't know that polyester didn't exist in the biblical times. They had only natural
Yeah.
fibers.
yeah. But, it's God, so maybe he just. But like polyester, like it's known to
Think
cause
that-
cancer. It's like this artificial.
Are you saying
Well,
that cancer is God's law? That doesn't
No,
seem very
I'm
nice.
saying that maybe God's like saw that like there's certain like fabrics. I know it sounds like silly, like why is that even in the Bible? But polyester is known to cause cancer. It's like this artificial fabric.
But polyester didn't exist during biblical times, so why would that be included? And on top of that, like if he was able to predict that polyester would one day be a fabric, then why didn't he also put in the Bible, in the event that there is a global pandemic, everyone should wear masks and that will immediately stop the spread? Like what? There's a million other things that he could have given us warnings about and didn't. But the polyester, like why?
Yeah, like there's a lot of different things.
Well, let's say you're God and I believe in you. Like what kind of predictions would you make that would make me believe in you even more? Let's say like you're God.
If
like,
I was an
I
all-powerful
believe in you.
God, if I was an all-powerful God, I would make sure that there was no sickness and pain, and everybody would live peacefully.
Well, even Jesus, he suffered on the cross. Even Jesus, like.
But you asked me if I was a God, that's what I would do. Why doesn't the God that you believe in that has that power not do the same thing?
Jesus, he suffered on the cross for our sins, so he didn't.
I'm not
have
talking
to, but he
about
did,
Jesus. I'm talking about God. I'm talking about the God claim, right? Because if you're trying to say that God is good, why isn't God?
Why isn't God what, Josie? You sketched out for a second.
Oh, why is my gosh, my internet is like skipping. It's really frustrating. Sorry about that. So if your God is good, right, and creates good things, and the world is better, why not be the best? Why allow the suffering of? I know, but why does he allow the suffering of dead babies and children and all of these different things and like all of these innocent people? Why does he allow, the girls' school in Iran to get blown up? Like why are all these things happening if there is a God that's benevolent that would stop all this from happening if he could? Because in your world, right, God is the most powerful thing that's ever existed, right?
Even Jesus, he suffered on the cross.
I know, but
Yeah,
you're
but why?
using this one metaphor, but it's not the actual like God. God could flood the earth and kill all of the people. God sent the angel of death to kill the firstborn of all the Egyptian children, firstborn. Like God, sent plagues and he sent meteors down to kill Sodom and Gomorrah. He turned a person into a pillar of salt. You telling me right now he couldn't save a girls' school from a bomb in Iran?
He could have literally made it like a pipe burst in the school, so they had to call it like a day off or whatever.
Yeah.
It could have been so simple, so easy, and he didn't.
Well, are you a sinner?
I don't know.
I don't believe in God, so I don't believe in sin, and I think it doesn't
So
matter.
do you think like do you think for example, like I I decide to take the soul of a young child into my own hands and kill him. Isn't that sin? Like, isn't that sin?
Sin is a made up thing. I think it's a wrong thing to do, and you should face consequences in the real world currently today, not consequences that will allegedly happen. Like hypothetically, hopefully in the future, but we have no proof to believe that
Yeah.
that's true. So like,
And
I would rather the consequence be before my eyes. I want to see that person in jail.
And
Yeah,
I believe in
and-
God, and that's why I want to see that person in jail. Not because of my moral standard, but because of God's standards, because I believe in God's standards.
But that doesn't change anything, right? Like, so what? Are we just supposed to sit in a room and just wait for God to put down his justice on somebody who murdered somebody?
What is that sin? You said, like, you don't believe in sin. Is that sin?
No, but because sin is the word that's used in religion because it implies that you're going to like go to hell or face judgment, at the end of your life. I want that person to face judgment now, immediately, as soon as possible. They shouldn't be able to have to harm another human being and then live every single day for the rest of their lives on earth free. They should not be able to do that. And I don't really care what's going to happen after they die. I could give a shit. Doesn't matter to me.
And if sin existed, Dylan, if sin exists... Okay, go ahead.
So,
and then I'll respond.
Have you ever done anything worthy of, like, have you ever done anything that should take you to hell?
I don't believe in hell.
I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in heaven. I think you die and that's it. So you got to make every day count, Dylan.
Have you ever done that's worthy of like going to heaven?
I think that I am I don't believe in that either. I think that every day I try and be kind and generous, and do that in any small way that I can. But my biggest focus in life is like being the happiest person that I can be and contributing to my community when I can. Like that's, it doesn't, I don't, why would that be
you guys
bad?
are talking about, like, why doesn't God do this? Why doesn't God do that? What about your happiness? Isn't God responsible for that?
No, I'm responsible for my happiness.
It's serotonin, yeah.
Like I am responsible for the world that I create, and it makes me feel so much better to think that way, because I know that like I can take responsibility for the things that I can control, and I'm not going to put that on this like imaginary thing that refuses to show itself or be consistent, by the way, in any of its consequences. Like the fact that we have people there are like 1 million unsolved murders and unsolved crimes, but I'm supposed to just like hope and pray that God wrote it down on his list and is going to put them in the right place after they've lived every single day of their lives freely. That doesn't sit right with me.
I can prove you believe in Jesus.
Please, Dylan, prove to me that I believe in Jesus.
So your soul, will you give it to me?
I don't believe in souls.
Okay, so you don't have a soul. Will you give me this hypothetical soul so that this world has no more like womanizing?
I don't believe souls are not real. So what am I giving to you? That is the equivalent of you being like, you are going to give me your ha-cha-cha-cha. And if you do, then the whole world will be saved. I'd be like, what the fuck is ha-cha-cha-cha?
Don't
like,
give
it
that
just
away.
I'm over the age of 18, so technically I can. No, I'm kidding. But Dylan, do you understand? So like souls don't, like, that's not, it wouldn't be a good measure for me because I don't believe that souls are also like, where did I get ha-cha-cha? Like, what even is that? And why did my brain make that? That's so embarrassing. Anyway.
So, like, souls aren't real. Like, like souls neither go to heaven or hell, like whatever. That's not even true. So like, I am like taking this position where you give me this non-real thing something that's not even real, that's not going to heaven or hell, whatever, that's not even true. You give me this thing that's not real, and I promise you that that I will be as good as a person as I can be. You won't give me your soul. You believe in Jesus.
No,
What?
I don't
No,
believe it.
we don't.
Dylan, no, I don't believe in souls. But if it means something to you, like if it would mean something to you for me to say, sure, you can have my soul, then you can have it. I don't believe it's real. I think that if I say to you, you can have my soul, literally no part of my life changes.
I can have your soul.
Sure.
Can God let you do that? That sounds like an affront against God. But sure, you can have mine too.
Thank you, God. I have 3 souls now. Thank you, God.
Wow.
I
Do you
have
feel
3
so
souls now.
powerful? Do you feel so powerful?
What do
Because
you-
I feel
yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah, because I didn't realize that the Bible said you can hand out your souls freely. But sure.
Thank you, God. And obviously, I believe that it's not my righteousness that takes me to heaven. That only Jesus. There was 500 witnesses of his resurrection. There's so much evidence that Jesus lived and died and rose from the
Dylan,
dead.
we're not here to sermonize. We're not here to sermonize. So my thought here, and I wanted to ask you this as well, is because there's a lot of for me it is personal, because when you say sin, right, it is based on a metric that is biblical. So for example, I am a trans gay woman. So because of that, would I even be able to get into heaven with your God?
So what do you say about sin?
I'm just saying, sin is a biblical thing, right? It's a thing based in religion. That's where the words come from, right? So since being trans and gay is a sin, would I go to heaven under your God?
Okay, so under my God, biblically, like you're saying, like sin is a biblical thing under my God. Biblically, and like my God, Jesus, he became sin. So biblically, like the sin thing is.
So it's a
Jesus
really simple
became sin.
question. Just answer the question, Dylan. I'm going somewhere with this. Like, would I go to heaven? Yes or
Jesus
no? You won't
paid for
offend
your
me
sins.
either way. I've heard worse. Go ahead.
Jesus paid for your sins.
Okay, so
He
that
literally
means that I
became
would
sin.
go to heaven? Would I go to heaven as a trans gay woman?
We're no longer under the laws; we're under grace. So yes, you're going to
I
heaven.
know. So I would go to heaven as a gay trans woman.
We're not under the laws of the Bible. We're under the grace of like Jesus. You're going to heaven.
I appreciate your candidness there. The reason I was asking is, like, if God has the ability to look into my heart and say, yes, I can go to heaven or I can't go to heaven, why does he have children suffering right now in hospitals, bombs, famine, and all of these things? Why does he care about me so much more than the kids that are suffering right now?
God loves you so much, like more than you can even believe.
I know, but
Why
I don't
does that- that
care
doesn't
about
answer
that.
the question.
I don't. I want to know why he's not loving the other children that are suffering right now. Because your claim was that God is a good thing for everybody. Where is
You're
God for
forgetting what a
those
God
kids
is.
now?
You're forgetting what a God is. A God is someone that has sovereignty. A God is
so
someone. So
if
you
you
could
were
be saving people. You could be saving people, or you can be not saving people. God, by definition, is someone that has sovereignty. So he can choose to save, and he can choose not to save.
So why is he not choosing? Why is he not choosing? Then? If it's
Why
so
is he
easy
not-
just to choose.
Yeah, why is he not choosing when they are children?
I believe in God because it's convenient for me. God, he can do whatever he wants. He can choose to save. I believe in God. I choose to believe in God, and I choose to have free will because it's convenient for me to have free will and believe in God. For God, by definition, is someone that can choose to save or can choose not to save. The Bible says that God
very
does not
honest.
choose. God does not.
Dylan, okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt you here. So does that mean that if someone doesn't believe in God, then they don't have free will?
what do you know about? How many times have you read the Bible about Mark of the Beast?
That's like I've read the Bible cover to cover. It's one of the reasons why I'm not Christian now. And
So,
I've read that portion of the Bible 3 times. I read Revelations 3 times because I didn't understand it because it was a freaking nightmare for someone that was writing it. Somebody was like hallucinating when they wrote it. But yeah, I read it 3 times.
So, like, you guys literally sold your souls to me. Like, thank you, God, I have 3 souls. Like, the Mark of the Beast is rejecting yourself as a person. And a person is someone that has.
So
is not just a
Dylan,
body.
does that
A
make you
person,
the
like,
Antichrist? Hold on. Because I've read this before, right? Only the Antichrist can take the souls of people.
Wow.
Like, I know this because I've read
you gave your
Revelations
soul to me.
because, well, no, because only the Antichrist would have the power to take a human soul outside of God's grace.
The only reason I have the power to have your soul is because you gave it to me.
No, well, only the Antichrist has that ability, though, because you're talking about the Mark of the Beast, and the Mark of the Beast is something that's specific, that is something that is given to the power of the Antichrist. And also in Revelations, it speaks about the Antichrist being righteous and being one of God, but also using that as a ploy to take people's souls. So I cannot trust that you are the Antichrist because nobody that is Christian would want somebody else's soul away from God's grace.
Well, why'd you sell me your soul then?
Why did you ask for it?
Because you gave it to me, asking to receive.
Well, I mean, well, that's something the Antichrist would say.
Okay. And I still haven't answered your question about so this
Dylan, we can't just go past that. You're not beating the allegations, right? Because in Revelations, which I've read 3 times, it says that the Antichrist will come in a righteous form that will have people who are who believe in God and Christian worship him because of his righteousness, and he will speak the words, right, of God to help people that will convince them to give things like their souls freely by putting the mark of the beast on their foreheads. So you came in with a righteous glory of that God is good, and then in the conversation you literally asked for our human souls, which is what the Antichrist does in Revelations.
Well, why'd you give me your human soul?
Because
Why did you ask? And we don't believe that they're real. We don't believe they're real, so it means nothing to us, but it means something to you, Dylan.
Right.
Antichrist,
Means
Antichrist,
nothing.
Dylan. Of course, if it meant something to me, why would I give it to fuck ass Dylan in fuck ass Minnesota, respectfully?
Yeah.
Why would I do that? I mean, it's not
But
not real to me.
I have 3 souls now.
Well,
Okay.
according to like Revelations, and like, all right, Dylan, well, keep up the good work. Keep spreading. Keep on
God's
collecting those
loving
human
word.
souls.
Yeah.
And we'll see the trumpet soon, and the apocalypse come, and the crown will be on your head. Congratulations.
Wow.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
And God is good.
Okay. Well, Dylan,
Yeah,
have a good
thank
night.
you,
We're
Dylan.
gonna
Appreciate you.
get to our super chats. There is another show that's happening tomorrow, by the way, and they do talk more specifically about religion if you want to give them a call. That might be interesting for you. But thank you so much for calling, and we'll talk to you next
Thank
time.
you, Dylan. Appreciate that. You made me smile.
That was so. Oh shit! Sorry, Dylan. Sorry.
I didn't mean to drop him.
That was so funny, you guys. That was literally when you said, well, only the Antichrist. I literally was like, I felt, that meme of Elmo with like the flames. That's what I felt like. I was like, we did it. Oh, incredible. That was just delicious.
That's what I like to do. I like to turn arguments. It's my mwah. You should see how many.
Go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, when you said that you read Revelations 3 times, you know that he absolutely shit his pants. He was like, fuck.
Yeah. Because
Oh.
yeah, it was great. I've read it once when I was a child, when I was a kid, like early preteen. I read it once again when I was in like almost 18, 17 years old, and then I read it again in my deconstructionist modes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I've read it 3 individual times.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That
yeah.
was so great. I was sitting here like, speak on it. This is so good. Oof. Wow. I might
Yeah.
watch that. I might watch that call again just for myself to just
Yeah,
really let it soak in.
that was fun. That was fun. I've had so many people who are like so anti-gender. Like
Yeah.
I've literally pivoted on them, saying it's okay if you're agender. I understand why you don't understand gender.
Love it. I
People who
love
don't
it.
agender people don't understand the concept of gender. So
Right.
I understand why it's so difficult for you to understand
Yes.
why some others have it.
Yes.
And oh my gosh, it like we've had really interesting conversations because
Oh
of
my
that.
God.
So
Pretty
That
hilarious.
cracks me up. Also, I don't know why my camera quality looks so weird all of a sudden, but all right.
it's fine. Mine's been at least hasn't been skipping.
Did you
Like
ever turn
mine.
your ring light on when the sun went down?
I forgot to plug it in, and then I was like, it's probably fine. And as it turns out, it wasn't, and I'll never do that again.
Okay. I
All
needed the
right.
brightness compared to your complexion, so
Yeah.
I needed that.
We
Yeah,
balanced it out.
yeah, that works. Yeah.
All right, let's get to our super chats. We have £5 from Mystic Mind Analysis. It's been 2 years since I started learning to draw out of spite for Gen AI. There's no stopping my pro-trans body positive propaganda now. Hashtag ETD. What's ETD?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I'm so happy that you've been learning how to draw. That's so exciting. Good for you.
Yeah. $10 from Alyssa Nguyen, my friend. What was cool when you were little but not cool now? For me, born in 1981, February, I remember having a scrap of ice of my windshield before AM shifts at the Disney Resort during Christmas season. Interesting. What is something cool that is not cool now? Huh.
I have to think about that.
Calling people gay and laughing about it.
T,
Like-
there's so many. Yeah, that for sure. For sure.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm going with that too. That
yeah.
crazy. Oh, what's happening? Do, 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 do.
$5. Oh wait, did I read? No, it's you. It's you. Go.
$5 from Melanie H Photography 1. $12.99. Sorry. Guess what? I am getting my hysterectomy tomorrow. Woo!
Yeah.
Just wanted to celebrate with all my line friends. Exciting! I hope it goes so
Yeah.
well and that your recovery is very smooth and easy.
Yes, amazing. $5 from Joshua Everett 9887. A fetus has zero autonomy, bodily or otherwise, certainly not enough to override functioning human being. Yeah, absolutely. You can't
Agreed.
you can't have an abortion argument without the personhood argument.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Yeah. Although shocking to have a conversation with Gohan. That was so chill. I could not believe
Yeah.
it. I was like, this is Gohan?
Yeah.
What? He must have gotten a prescription for something. Oh my God. I remember my first Lexapro, and something's happening here. $10 from One-Eyed Atheist. Bodily autonomy of cis white men is never debated. I wonder if Gohan thinks his bodily autonomy is up for debate. How about we start by having him defend his bodily autonomy to us? That is
That's a good
a
point.
great point. I like that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it was always pointed toward.
Always.
Yeah,
I
always.
think that's what the point of the violinist argument is supposed to be. He
It
just
is.
didn't apply it to himself.
Right.
Well, yeah. It's just like not understanding why analogies are the way they are. A hypothetical, an edge case hypothetical is not an analogy.
Yeah.
It's not. $10 from Alyssa Nguyen. Orange County succeeded from Los Angeles in 1989. Tangentially related, during Girl Scout cookie season, they have a different cookie. One example, LA County says Samoas, and OC says Caramel Delights. Interesting.
Wow. I
Uh,
always think that Samoa's is a crazy name for a cookie. I cannot believe they did that. Like that's so I can't believe actually that they haven't changed it like for everyone.
yeah, that's interesting.
So crazy.
That's
Oh my goodness. 99.99. Thank you that is so
that's so
generous.
generous. Thank
From
you.
now I can't not say your name right.
I think it's Narcissa.
Narcissa? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry in chat. I'm being so nasty, but Gohan is beyond horrible. I feel like this was an apologetic 99.99 and
Yes.
and I appreciate it very deeply. Thank you so much.
$5 from Maria Featherbender. What if men were forced into estrogen to grow breasts and forced into medical requirements to enable breastfeeding? Hey, Gohan? Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Like, if you want to talk about hypotheticals, what if you could just like men could, if a baby was in need, they could
Yeah.
breastfeed right there.
It's also like if you want to do hypotheticals that are ridiculous and would never happen, we can do that all day, but like we'll give that example.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if you
exactly.
what if there was a magical bird that showed up at your house during this snowstorm and they could breastfeed the baby? Would you let them like what the fuck are we talking
Yeah.
about now?
Yeah. Exactly.
$5 from
Wild.
Joshua Everett. Let's suppose we lived in a world where Gohan would engage. Honestly, would we be forced to listen to him in that case? Oh. I'm gonna see if this works. Does that help? No, that's way worse. That's very
No,
clear.
it's
Clearly a
worse.
flashlight. Okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, it is.
You guys will have
You're
to deal with.
fine. It looks good. It's fine. It's fine.
It's just so
Yeah.
pixelated. I can't believe, but whatever. You guys
It
will have
doesn't
to
look
deal.
pixelated on my side. It
Oh,
looks
okay.
fine.
Great.
Yeah. Sometimes on our end it doesn't look good, and then
Okay.
on the actual feed it looks fine. $10 from Mo Spider-Man. If Gohan were explained the FIRES acronym in detail, she'd probably she Gohan doesn't like critical thought, especially when it goes against her narrative. She needs biology class. I do love that. Yeah,
I love
no
the FIRES
pronouns.
acronym. All right, we have a lot of super chats left, so we're doing speed run, guys.
Speed run.
Speed run. $20 from Erica America. $10. Okay.
Which she said
Thank
was a
you.
mistake and not to read it, but I
Oh.
thought it was funny to let you read it anyway.
That's so great.
Thank you so
I love
much.
$5 from Kadi Moore. Caller theme of the day. I'm calling to address issue X, but I'm not willing to discuss the aspects of flagrantly disapprove my point. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. 1999 from Safco DSP. Discounting empathy, but saying the Bible boils down to treat your neighbor as yourself is crazy. Yes. Thank you. Also saying the
Mhm.
Bible provides objective morals right after the host said it was used to justify slavery is crazy.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't hear
Yeah.
themselves when they say
They
shit
don't.
like that.
Yeah. $20 from Kyla Byte. Not directly related, but I'm an adoptee and anti-choice rhetoric gets me so heated, especially when used as a pro-life game piece. Love you both. Aw, I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. Yeah.
Me too. $5 from Space Barbarian. Secular ethics for dummies. Think about the consequences of your actions. Hashtag death. Yeah, exactly. Imagine that.
Mhm.
Imagine consequences.
Mhm. $10 from Giant Pseudo. Wait.
It's making me so mad.
I know. Wait, Alyssa, wait.
That was so I was like, I'm muting you. I'm like not even that much of a muter, but like that was
I know.
was like, you wait. Oh my God.
I know.
$5 from Space Barbarian. Dang, Mike, cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug. Yeah, girl. Really
Yeah.
is.
$5 from More Van Steider. Only give your cha-cha to someone if they're a decent Latin dance partner. That's true. Can't just be giving that away. Can't be offering that up, Alyssa.
I know. I like cannot believe that's what came to my brain. $5 from Gemnik06. Ha cha cha. Laughing while doing a Cuban dance. Hashtag wait. Hashtag whoa. Hashtag Team Alyssa. Guys. Oh my god, that is so great.
Oh my god, it's so good. I that's gonna stick with you for a little bit.
I
That's good.
know, I
You know, I
know.
hope somebody clips that and says, "What if I gave you my ha cha cha?"
Yeah, I trust that it will be clipped. I'll never
It's a
live it
good one.
down.
Yeah, it's a good one. Just don't give it away. Don't even offer it up. Uh, $5 from Dusk Frame 7331. Question you for you both. What is your favorite dinosaur? Mine is the Spinosaurus. I don't know. I think it's the plesiosaur, the one that has the fins
Ooh,
on
that's
it. Yeah, I
fun.
like that. I know. It's like a brontosaurus with fins. I
I
love
don't know enough about dinosaurs, honestly. I like the one in the Jurassic Park ride that has the little these things and it spits
Oh
water
yeah.
at you. I don't remember what
Oh,
that's called, but I like that guy.
that dirty water.
Yeah. Yeah. $5 from Alice and Dr. Pepper. Dylan has completely fallen apart. I actually choose to not have free will. I'm basically an NPC. Have you been to the Cloud District? Hashtag Dylan brain rot. Yeah, that was all religious brain rot. I was like,
Yeah, it was
no.
pretty bad. $5 from Alice and Dr. Pepper. Dylan, I'll sell you my 2007 Kia Soul for 4,000. It has 173,000 miles, clean title, transmission rebuild, and 125,000 miles aftermarket exhaust with a spare.
A great deal.
Great deal. Great deal.
666 from the Fuzzy Logic. Love it. Whether or not he's the Antichrist, Dylan is clearly Antichrist. I think he would be very upset to see that. Oh, Christ.
$5 from Space Barbarian. A friend got called spiritually bankrupt. He replied, "What are you talking about? I have lots of souls."
Yes, that is Dylan. He will never be spiritually bankrupt. $5 from Melatonin Ale. Dylan said he'd prove you believe in God, and he confirmed himself to be the Antichrist instead. Hashtag vote for Josie. Hashtag death. I giveth my ha-cha-cha unto thee.
Oh, so good. You know, he probably has a little sheet of paper with Alyssa and Josie's soul.
Yeah,
and like puts
exactly.
it on his
It's
on
a
his bathroom
scroll.
mirror.
It's
Yeah.
a scroll written in calligraphy. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. $5 from Alice Shadow Silverbow. I gave up my seat on the bus to a blind lady today. I also just lost my job as a bus driver. No good deed goes unpunished. Hashtag Team Josie. Also hashtag Team Alyssa. Yes.
$10 from Mr. Boricua 10. Mike and Dylan, be honest and learn to not move the goalposts. You're not fooling any, especially you, Dylan. Your dodging of questions comes off as condescending. No need to engage mental gymnastics. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. It's what the Antichrist would do.
Yeah.
He will be forgiven for that.
What else can we expect?
Can't expect it. $20 from Calabyte. When my hubby and I were shopping last weekend, he said not to talk about the male loneliness epidemic in public. I started again in the car and he said, "No, you misunderstood. I don't want to talk about things that don't exist."
Wow.
All right.
I love it. $5 from SJL. I have a Kia Soul. I ain't giving it away to anyone. Yeah, girl.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. $5 from the Detroit Atheist Queen. It's funny how all these callers are just misogynistic men. I don't hear from one woman. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. It's
The people who
always
call
that
us
way.
about the people who call us about anti-abortion stuff, almost always men.
Yeah, always.
$5 from Mr. Boricua 10. Addendum. I've sped through Gohan's call. What a garbage argument. Gohan, please be ungarbaged. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
No. $10 from Alina Langton. The sell me your soul argument comes off as a viral clip of a pastor making the argument. Tell me you will for 100 because you have a standing offer. When you make it to heaven, it flips spectacularly. Yeah. It's so funny. It's like sell me your soul. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so hilarious.
It's like
So
Little
we're only one-
Mermaid.
I
What
know.
are we talking about?
Or like The Simpsons when Bart sells his soul to Milhouse,
Oh my
and
God.
it's such a good episode. It's such a
I
good
haven't seen
episode.
it, but it's just
Yeah.
it's for
It-
cartoons. It's not
it's
real.
It's for a cartoon.
That's what we've learned.
And the Antichrist.
And the Antichrist.
It's
and
very
the Antichrist.
serious.
Very
it's
important.
Very serious and very important.
Serious. Oh my God.
Oh my
well,
God.
all right, you guys. Jimmy is doing a snow. I was going to say a snow. Jimmy is doing
He's
a snow.
doing a
Jimmy,
snow. He is
Jimmy
doing
is
it snow.
doing a snow. He's doing a show, and you will be directed that way. And I think it's with. Did I read Mermaid Ari? Is that what's happening? Yes. Oh no.
Yeah.
It's actually. I'm sorry. It's Jovan and Mermaid Ari are coming in next. Oh,
Oh.
exciting. Okay. So stay tuned. And you will be redirected that way. Thank you all so much for super chats and a great show. Thank you, Lux, for producing, and Dragon for screening, and our
Yeah.
mods and the chat, and Josie for coming on.
Yeah, and donate to my campaign. I just put the link in the
Yes.
chat. It's so important. Do it.
Donate
do it,
to
do it,
Josie's
do it.
campaign.
Yes, awesome.
Every little
All right,
bit
friends.
helps.
It does so much. Bye.
Thank you guys. Stick around for the next show. Woo!
Awesome. Well, thank you. Oh wait, are we?
That
clear?
was